We're going to learn how to do a technical drawing, an electrical diagram today for the Microbit project that we just did with the LED. You'll notice that I have here's our Microbit, and here's our pin 0, which is P0, and our ground, GND, pin. And these black things with the dots on either end, these are the wires. And the reason they have a dots is the dots signify the alligator clip. And then we have our resistor, our 330 resistor. And then down here, this triangle symbolizes the LED. And the positive end is the positive end or the longer end of the LED is the one that's attached to pin 0. So before we get started drawing this, I just want to draw your attention to two things. I'm going to, I use this thing called guides. So this is what it looks like without guides. We're going to use guides to draw so that we can easily draw these wires. So just so you know, here's what it kind of looks like with guides and without guides. So to get started, let's go to our Google Drive and let's press New, More, Google Drawings. So Google Drawings is almost just like Google Slides, but it's just a little easier for this kind of thing. The first thing you want to do is name it. So put your name, and it's Microbit Part 1 electrical diagram. So put your name, Microbit Part 1 electrical diagram. The first thing we want to do when we view is we want to make sure that we're showing our ruler. That's important. So make sure under View, Show Ruler is selected. And then guides, we want to see these guides that we're going to draw. Okay. And how you move the guides is you can just kind of put your mouse over them and move them. If you don't want them, just swipe them off the screen. To get started, let's go ahead and pull some guides down. I'm going to pull a guide down to 1 inch. And I am going to pull a guide over to 1 inch as well. I'm then going to select a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that is approximately 3 inches wide and 4 inches tall. And you can see how big it is by where it lines up with the numbers. And then I want this to be white. Electrical drawings are usually just black and white. And then I'm going to write my words on it. Microbit and ground. And I'm going to do it all capitals. And I'm going to use 20-point text. So all my numbers is going to be the same size. That's really important that all your numbering is the same size in electrical drawings. Okay, so I'm then going to just hit Control-C and Control-V, the keyboard shortcuts to type in P, capital P, and 0. And again, that's Arial 20-point. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this again and bring it over here to type ground, GND. That's my ground pin. So that's it for the Microbit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to drag some more guidelines down. Let's drag a guideline down to 2 inches, and let's drag another guideline down to 4 inches. Or I lied. Let's see. How about... No, I guess 4 inches is good. We'll keep it at 4. And then another guideline out to, this is the horizontal. It looks like maybe, let's try about 7.5. Okay? These guidelines will help us draw our wires. We're then going to go get a rectangle. We're going to draw our resistor. So I'm going to grab another rectangle. And I'm going to make my resistor about this big, and I want it to be white with a black outline. And don't worry, I know that the lines, these guidelines won't show. If you want to hide your guides, it's going to be fine. But the guides just kind of help line everything up. Inside your resistor, we need to type 330. And make sure make sure that is also 20 points. And this is for 330 ohms, but it's implied by the shape that it's a resistor, and it's implied that resistors are measured in ohms. So to draw our LED, we're going to go find a triangle shape. Pick this first one, the equilateral one. Don't pick the right one. So we're going to go with the equilateral triangle. We will have to rotate it, but that's okay. And make it about that big, and we're going to turn it so it's pointing to the right. Center it, and it should snap. You should see when you're moving this that it should snap to those guidelines. Oh, let's make sure it snaps. So when we go to view, make sure you have snap to guides selected. You want that check mark there. That's going to make things much easier for you. Make sure your triangle is white. And then let's add the little positive and negative symbol to it. So if you actually go up to equations this would be under shapes, equations, you can see a positive sign, and we're going to draw a little positive sign, and you want that to also have a white inside. And then we're going to go back to equation, and we're going to draw a negative line for over here. Now we need to draw the line by the LED. So we're going to come up to our line tool and just select basic line. Oops. Sorry. Make sure your cursor is cleared first. So line tool. And then I'm just going to draw a straight line right here. And it needs to be the same height as your triangle. No shorter or no longer. And I'm going to make that 3 points. Let's go ahead and draw the lines for the wire. So to do this, just click on your line. If you don't see it right away, it should be the first one there. Line tools are a little annoying because they want to snap to things. So whatever you see highlighted purple, that line is going to want to snap to it. I'm going to move this ground out of the way so it doesn't, my line won't snap to it. But then when you select the line, you should be able to draw a nice straight line from your resistor to your microbit. You're going to make it 3 points. And here's the fun part. On either side, you want to come up here and choose a circle. So this shows where the alligator clips would be. And ideally, you want the alligator clip. I'm going to zoom in just so we can see what we're doing here. I want this alligator clip right over the intersection, or the circle right over the intersection of the other object. So see how that circle is right at the crosshair of those two objects? That is what I want. So let's go down here and draw the other one from the microbit to our LED light. And if it didn't quite get in all the way, just get out your arrow tool and kind of pull it over a little bit until that circle, that dot, is right over your triangle, your LED. There we go. Okay. So the last wire is probably going to be the hardest. We're going to use a complex line to draw that. Let me show you how that works. Make this a little bigger. We're going to come up here to polyline. So it's the line tool, polyline. Polylines will help you draw a more complex line. To do that, you're going to trace your guide. So start at the resistor, come to the next point in the resistor, in your guides, go down to the guides, and then go down to the wire. When you're done, double click, double click. If you notice that you still have a line here, come up to the arrow tool to clear it, because otherwise crazy stuff like this starts happening, and it won't stop until you hit the, the arrow tool. So I'm just going to demonstrate one more time. To get this, you go to polyline, you click here at this guideline, at this guideline point, at this guideline point, and at this guideline point. And then double click to end it. If you still have this line showing, press the arrow tool. Then go up to your dots and get your dots on either end Make sure you have a width of 3. And then at that point, you might have to fine-tune your drawing a little bit. So you might have to, polylines you can't edit, so if you kind of mess up a little bit, just move the whole thing a little closer, and that will work for you. Okay? So let's go ahead and view guides, uncheck show guides, and you should end up with a really nice drawing like this. Let us now add a title to it. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. Go to my text tool, and our title is Electrical Diagram for Microbit Part 1. And I'm going to make this also size 20. So everything is a size 20. Engineers like things very cut and dry, very plain. I'm going to go ahead and center this so it's right in the middle. The last thing we need to do is save this. I know it saves automatically, but in order to import it to our Google or our Wix website, we need to file and download this document as a JPEG. Wix likes JPEG files, so we need to save this as a JPEG. And it's just gonna, you'll see it download here, it's gonna save, and it'll be all ready for you to put into your Wix website. Just make sure you download it as a JPEG. Thanks, and let me know if you have any questions.